Chosen one, stop scrolling and listen. This moment is not an accident. Heaven has interrupted your routine because something around you has been silently watching. You felt it, the invisible gaze that lingers when you are alone. The strange weight in the atmosphere. The flicker of unease that makes you look over your shoulder. It isn't just imagination, it's awareness. The unseen has been observing the scene, and you are at the center of it. The watching began long before you noticed. It hides in the ordinary devices, mirrors, screens, even the simplest things you use every day. You thought it was harmless, but something inside you has always known there's more happening than meets the eye. You are not paranoid, you are prophetic. Because when someone carries divine fire, darkness becomes curious. You were not created to blend in with the noise of this world. You are marked, set apart, carrying a light that disturbs what hides in shadow. That is why you are being watched. They study you to understand how your faith still stands after betrayal, how your peace remains after storms, how your smile survives after heartbreak. The watchers, both human and spiritual, cannot comprehend the strength that flows through you. But hear this truth: you are never defenseless. The unseen cameras of this world may record your movement, but heaven records your faith. Every prayer you've whispered, every tear you've shed, every silent act of endurance, it is all written in eternal archives. You are seen not only by eyes of darkness, but by eyes of light, as it is written in the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 3. The eyes of the Lord are everywhere, keeping watch on the wicked and the good. The gaze of heaven is not like the gaze of man. One watches to expose, the other watches to protect. When the divine eye observes you, it is not invasion, it is covering. You are guarded, even when you think you are simply being seen. The camera may try to invade your privacy, but it cannot invade your destiny. Listen closely. What the enemy uses to monitor, God can use to reveal. You may soon discover something unexpected, a device, an object. Maybe something that has sat unnoticed in your room, on your desk, or near where you sleep. But do not be afraid. Fear feeds the watcher. Awareness disarms it. Once you acknowledge what is hidden, you reclaim power over it. This moment is divine intervention, not coincidence. Heaven is waking you up to discernment. The reason you are hearing this right now is because your spirit has been signaling a warning. You felt drained, distracted, restless for no reason, because your space has been spiritually disturbed. But your awakening begins here. You are not a victim of surveillance. You are a vessel of revelation. Every chosen one goes through a season where light exposes what's been watching them. It's not punishment, it's promotion. The exposure comes to prove that your vision is opening. The very fact that you sense this message means your spiritual sensitivity is increasing. You are beginning to see the unseen. So here's what you must do. Take a deep breath. Look around your space and whisper this declaration: I am covered by divine light. Every hidden thing must reveal itself now. You will feel the air shift. The watchers tremble when you remember who you are. You are not powerless. The moment you call upon heaven, angels take position around you. You are not being watched for destruction. You are being observed because of your destiny. The light within you cannot be contained. That's why the unseen realm reacts when you move, when you pray, when you simply exist in obedience. Do not run from this awareness. Rise within it. Stand with authority, not fear. You have the right to reclaim your peace, your space, and your clarity. Whatever has been monitoring you is about to be exposed. Because light always finds what hides in darkness. And now, before this section closes, take an action of agreement. Comment 999 below. It's not just a number, it's a prophetic act. A signal that you are closing the chapter of blindness and stepping into revelation. Like and share this message if it stirred your spirit. And subscribe for what heaven is preparing next. The revelations coming will not only open your eyes, they will awaken your purpose. Remember, you are not just being watched, you are being witnessed by heaven. The eyes that see you in secret are the same eyes that will lift you in glory. The darkness cannot comprehend your light. And every hidden gaze will soon bow to the brilliance of what God placed inside you. You start to notice it, the object that doesn't quite belong. It's been there for months, maybe years, sitting quietly in the background of your life. A gift, a gadget, something you use without thought. It looks ordinary, harmless, familiar. But now, under the weight of revelation, it feels different. The air around it seems charged, like it's holding a secret. Your spirit senses what your eyes can't yet see. The first thing you feel is not fear, it's clarity. Heaven begins to heighten your perception, tuning you into what has always been there. The ordinary object becomes an altar of exposure. You start to remember moments that never made sense. The hum that came from nowhere. The flicker of a light at night. The strange sense that someone knew your private prayers. You brushed them aside before. But now, you see, it could be a mirror. It could be a clock. It could even be something small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. The watchers hide their eyes inside what you trust. They disguise intrusion as convenience. But understand this, the physical hiding place is only a reflection of the spiritual agenda behind it. The goal was never just to see you, it was to silence you. To make you doubt your sense of divine security. Yet, in this exact revelation lies your power. The moment you recognize what is happening, you shift the authority back to heaven. Awareness turns surveillance into exposure. What they use to observe you becomes the very thing heaven uses to show you truth. Nothing can remain hidden from divine sight. As the Gospel of Luke declares, chapter 8, verse 17, "For there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known." Those words become like fire in your chest. Every whisper of deceit trembles beneath that light. Every lens, every sheen, every silent recording, heaven sees it before it ever reaches you. The watchers think they're observing in secret, but they themselves are being watched by a greater eye. One that never blinks and never forgets. You begin to see it clearly. This moment is not about a device or a room, it's about discernment. God is training your eyes to see beyond the surface, to recognize when something spiritual is masquerading as something physical, that lamp that hums when you pray, the small object that shifts slightly out of place, the subtle chill when you speak truth. These are signals, not to cause fear, but to awaken mastery. Because you are not being exposed, you are being trained. Trained to walk in awareness so sharp that deception cannot approach you unseen. Trained to hear the frequency of truth, even in a world filled with static. You realize now that this camera, hidden in the unthinkable, is symbolic of something far larger. The enemy has always been a counterfeit observer, copying what heaven has already perfected. God saw you before the world even formed. He watched over you when you wept, when you were misunderstood, when you nearly gave up. The difference is this: the divine gaze restores, while the demonic gaze invades. So when you uncover the hidden watcher, whatever form it takes, do not panic. Simply say, "You have been seen." That declaration alone carries spiritual weight, because when you speak in alignment with truth, lies lose their power. When you walk in awareness, shadows have nowhere left to hide. Your atmosphere begins to shift. What was once heavy now feels lighter. The tension breaks, replaced by peace that cannot be shaken. You realize that the watcher never had authority, it only had attention. The moment you withdrew your fear, its influence crumbled. And in that silence, you understand. What was watching you has now become your witness. It will testify spiritually that the light within you cannot be dimmed. The object that once served darkness now stands in the presence of divine power. You breathe deeply, grounding yourself in this truth. The world may hide its eyes in glass and wire, but heaven hides its protection in you. No device, no unseen force, no silent observer can interfere with what God has sealed. You are surrounded, yes, but by angels. Covered, yes, but by glory. The object that sees you has lost its power. Its purpose has been reversed. Now it serves as a reminder that nothing, absolutely nothing, can remain hidden when light decides to look back. The spiritual setup unfolds quietly, almost elegantly. You begin to understand that this was never about technology, it was about targeting your anointing. What appeared as a hidden camera, an ordinary device, was a shadow of a much deeper agenda. Darkness has always wanted access to what heaven has sealed within you. The physical lens is just a symbol of a spiritual trap, an attempt to monitor your growth, to intercept your divine frequency before you fully awaken to it. You've been feeling it for a while, the unusual resistance, the fatigue that doesn't match your workload, the sudden waves of distraction right when you try to pray or focus. That's not random. It's part of the setup. The watchers study your rhythm, hoping to disrupt your pattern of worship and silence your consistency. Because every time you choose light over bitterness, every time you choose peace instead of retaliation, your spirit emits a signal that threatens the kingdom of darkness. This surveillance is not about your privacy, it's about your power. The enemy fears your alignment. The closer you get to obedience, the louder heaven's signal becomes, and the more the unseen realm reacts. The hidden eyes were never placed to destroy your image. They were meant to confuse your confidence. But now that you've seen through it, you break their code simply by standing firm in awareness. The ancient words recorded in the book of Daniel, chapter 2, verse 22. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. That verse is more than scripture, it's strategy. God is not surprised by the watcher's tactics. Long before the lens was built, heaven already prepared the countermeasure, revelation. What was meant to spy on you now becomes a prophetic mirror, showing you the deeper reality of spiritual warfare. You're not being targeted randomly, you were chosen to discern, to expose, to break patterns of deception that many around you still sleep through. Your discernment is your weapon. Every time you feel a sudden heaviness, a flicker of intuition, or a shift in atmosphere, pause. Don't panic. Instead, ask quietly, what is this trying to hide? The spirit reveals through subtlety, and your awareness becomes the flashlight that darkness cannot endure. There's something sacred about this kind of revelation. It turns fear into clarity, confusion into command. You are not running from the unseen anymore. You're confronting it. The camera, the watcher, the setup, they're all losing power because your eyes have opened. Heaven doesn't remove every snare immediately. Sometimes it allows you to see it so you can learn authority. The watchers have always underestimated chosen ones. They think you fear exposure, but you carry exposure within you. You were born to bring things into the light. Your presence exposes corruption. Your words unravel lies. That's why the opposition watches you, make them nervous simply by being obedient. When you finally grasp this truth, something shifts inside you. The anxiety that once haunted you dissolves into calm determination. You no longer wonder, why me? You start to declare, of course, me. Because light was always meant to disturb darkness. You were never under attack, you were under assignment. Look around your life. The very places where you were watched are about to become your platforms of revelation. The same ground that carried fear will carry testimony. The same silence that once made you doubt will now echo with confidence. You are stepping into the authority of awareness, the divine ability to see without fear, to know without trembling. Now, let this moment seal something in your spirit. Comment, I stand aware below. Not as a ritual, but as a declaration that you refuse blindness. That simple phrase is a spiritual signature, a statement to heaven and hell alike that you have awakened. Awareness is not paranoia, it's prophecy in motion. When you choose awareness, you align yourself with divine intelligence that no hidden watcher can intercept. You are not their subject, you are their sign. The setup meant to observe you is about to witness your elevation. Every eye that sought to record your downfall will soon record your rise. You carry light that exposes and redeems. And nothing, no device, no deception can change that. You sense it now, the shift. What once monitored you now mirrors your strength. Awareness has turned the trap into testimony. And what was hidden trembles beneath your understanding. You are awake. This awakening isn't paranoia, it's divine perception. You've learned that spiritual vision isn't about fear, but authority. Seeing is reclaiming. Knowing is conquering. Awareness is no longer a burden, it's your anointing. The day heaven interrupted came quietly, but powerfully. It wasn't thunder or lightning. It was stillness, an almost holy silence that wrapped around your spirit and demanded attention. You were mid-thought, mid-routine, maybe scrolling, maybe working, when suddenly the air shifted. It felt like time hesitated. Something unseen had stepped into your space. That was the moment heaven decided to interrupt the watcher's agenda. You didn't realize it then, but what you felt wasn't coincidence. Heaven often moves without announcement. When divine interruption arrives, it doesn't knock, it enters. It doesn't ask for permission, it reveals. That strange stillness, that sudden awareness, wasn't emptiness. It was occupancy. The Spirit of God had stepped into the room to expose what your eyes couldn't see. Everything around you seemed ordinary, yet charged. The object that once blended into your environment now carried a subtle tension. It was as if it knew it had been discovered. You looked at it differently, no longer as decoration or utility, but as evidence, not evidence of technology, evidence of warfare. What was hidden had been noticed, and in that moment, heaven smiled, because when revelation meets readiness, victory begins. This is how God works. When the world thinks you are being invaded, heaven knows you are being awakened. Divine interruption isn't punishment, it's promotion. God interrupts what's false to make room for what's true. You may have thought you were losing control, but in truth, you were regaining dominion. The day heaven interrupted was not a random Tuesday, not a spiritual coincidence, but a scheduled moment written into your timeline before you were even born. God had been watching the watchers, every move, every attempt, every intrusion. None of it escaped divine sight. What they planned as secrecy, heaven recorded as testimony. According to the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 90, verse 8, "You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence." That verse became your mirror. It reminded you that no secret can survive exposure to divine light. The hidden things, whether in your heart or in your surroundings, cannot remain covered when heaven decides to reveal them. The watcher's lens might see through shadows, but God's light sees through motives. You stood there, between revelation and response, realizing that this was more than a discovery, it was a divine dialogue. God wasn't just showing you the trap, He was teaching you trust. The interruption was an invitation to listen differently, to see with spiritual depth instead of surface sight. Heaven's interruptions always carry instruction. They come to correct the direction of your focus, to break cycles of distraction, to expose the subtle ways the enemy has tried to pull you away from awareness. You were never meant to live in fear of being watched. You were meant to live in confidence that heaven always watches over you first. The divine interruption also awakened gratitude. You began to thank God not only for protection, but for perception, for allowing you to sense danger before it spoke, to see deception before it struck. It was revelation disguised as discomfort. You began to recognize that many of the inconveniences in your life were actually interventions, delays that saved you, restlessness that redirected you, silence that protected you. You looked back on past moments that confused. You lost connections, sudden endings, unexplained turns. They were all divine interruptions, scattered across your life, shielding you from traps you never saw. And now, you understood. Heaven had always been interrupting what was designed to harm you. The presence that entered your space that day didn't just expose an object, it exposed a plan. The watcher's purpose was never random, it was rehearsed. But heaven's response was strategic. While darkness built systems of surveillance, God built shields of revelation. The two forces met that day, and revelation won. As the moment faded, you didn't feel fear. You felt awe. You realized you were standing in the overlap between the visible and the invisible, the ordinary and the divine. The interruption left a mark on you, a quiet awareness that God sees, interrupts, and defends before you even know you need it. That day didn't end with panic, it ended with peace. The camera might have been hidden, but your protection was never invisible. Heaven had been waiting for that moment not to expose your weakness, but to confirm your strength. You were never being watched for destruction, you were being watched for destiny, and the day heaven interrupted proved it. You stand still, heart steady, realizing heaven's timing is never late. What was meant to invade became your initiation. The interruption didn't stop your story, it marked your beginning. When angels whisper, they rarely speak in thunder. Their voices travel through intuition, through small nudges, through thoughts that come softly but land heavily. You have heard them before in your sleepless nights. In the moments you stared at nothing and suddenly felt something. In the words that found you at the perfect time. Those were not coincidences. Those were whispers. The whispers began when heaven saw your confusion. You were beginning to question what was happening around you, unsure whom to trust, unsure what was real. But angels were already circling you, guiding you gently toward revelation. They didn't come to frighten you. They came to remind you that even when you feel unseen, you are still surrounded. Sometimes, their whispers sound like peace. Other times, they sound like warning. But always, they point you back to awareness, to look again, to listen deeper, to trust that small stirring in your spirit. Angels don't need volume to be powerful. They speak through presence. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah. Chapter 42. Verse 16. I will turn the darkness into light before them and make the rough places smooth. That is what has been happening in your life. The path you thought was confusion was actually divine recalibration. The darkness wasn't permanent, it was a classroom. And now, the light that angels carry is beginning to illuminate every corner where fear once lived. As you listen, something in you softens. You realize you're not alone in your search for meaning. Not the only one trying to understand unseen things. There's a quiet army of souls, other chosen ones waking up all around the world, each hearing their own whispers, each feeling that same pull toward light. And in this sacred connection, you're part of something vast and divine. Now pause and breathe. Feel that sense of calm rising again, the same calm that arrives when you finally know you're not forgotten. That calm is heaven's signature. It says, "You're still in my plan." The angels have not stopped watching. But their watching is not surveillance, it's safeguarding. They stand where you can't see, intercepting what was meant to harm you. You have been through so much, yet you continue to give light wherever you go. You speak kindness into broken spaces. You carry hope into heavy rooms. You listen to people even when you're the one who needs comfort. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you chosen. And because this journey isn't only yours, every time you like or share this message, you are not helping an algorithm. You are releasing echoes of light into dark timelines, letting another weary soul stumble into hope. When you subscribe, you are lighting a steady lamp in this sanctuary of voices, saying, "Keep speaking. I am still here." If your heart ever whispers deeper, you can even become part of the flame itself, donating not as payment, but as pouring oil into a lamp so that the light travels further into the unseen. Imagine your seed as a spark finding its way into another midnight heart, reminding them they're not alone. This isn't pressure, it's invitation. Give only if the whisper within you says yes. Divine generosity is never demanded, it's inspired. Your smallest offering, your share, your presence, your prayer is already enough to keep the message alive. You are helping build something invisible yet eternal, a bridge of light from one awakening soul to another. Each click, each share, each drop of support is like placing a feather into an angel's wing. helping it fly farther. The angels are still whispering. They are telling you that your voice, your awareness, and even your smallest act of kindness are changing the atmosphere around you. Keep listening. Keep moving forward. Keep shining. And as you do, heaven takes note. The watchers once observed you for weakness, but now angels watch you for strength. You have become the message they whisper about. You are what light looks like when it refuses to be hidden. You feel a quiet warmth move through your chest, a peace that doesn't need to explain itself. It's the kind of stillness that tells you heaven has already handled what you were afraid of. Every whisper you once ignored now sounds like a promise kept, somewhere unseen. An angel takes flight, carrying the light you've rekindled. The watchers may still stare, but they no longer understand you. What they once tried to study has become something sacred, unreachable, protected by divine flame. And as you rest in this moment, you realize the journey isn't over, it's expanding. Your awareness is becoming ministry. Your voice is becoming shelter. Your story, a torch for others still walking through the shadows. The unmasking always comes when the spirit is ready. You had felt the pressure building, the strange tension in your atmosphere, the unexplainable fatigue, the sense that something was staring back when you looked into the silence. Then, without warning, the veil lifted. The disguise could no longer hold. You saw what was hidden, and the shock reached deeper than your eyes. It shook your spirit awake. The moment of unmasking is sacred. It's not just discovery, it's confrontation between truth and illusion. You stand face to face with what pretended to be harmless, realizing that it had been feeding off your unawareness. The object, the presence, the energy, all exposed. But the strangest part is that the fear fades faster than expected, because revelation always carries light, and light makes fear lose its footing. You step closer. Steady now. The watcher's hiding place no longer intimidates you. You feel authority rising in your chest. Quiet, but absolute. You whisper words you didn't plan. Words that come from somewhere eternal. I see you. That simple phrase cracks the shell of deception. The act of seeing has power. The enemy thrives in secrecy, but suffocates in exposure. The voice of heaven declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 5, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." That truth becomes the pulse of your moment. You realize that even when you didn't understand what was happening, the light within you was never defeated. It might have flickered, but it never died. Every prayer you whispered, every night you stayed awake, every time you chose faith over fear, it all kept the flame alive. The unmasking isn't about the camera, the device, or the hidden watcher. It's about unveiling a larger truth. Nothing that operates in darkness can remain unchallenged once a chosen one begins to see. Awareness itself becomes warfare. The simple act of knowing turns confusion into strategy. You begin to walk through your space differently. Now, you don't rush. You scan gently. Not with paranoia, but with discernment. Every corner that once felt heavy now feels like reclaimed territory. You open the window, and light floods in, spilling over the objects that once held secrets. The air feels new, as though heaven itself is exhaling relief through your walls. For the first time in a long while, you smile, not because the battle is over, but because you finally understand it. You see how subtle the opposition was. how it disguised intrusion as innocence. Yet you also see how faithful God has been to reveal, to protect, to prepare. Nothing about this moment is random. Every revelation is a reminder. You are equipped. You don't just see what's hidden, you feel what's shifting. The watcher's influence begins to crumble. The presence that once loomed fades into background silence. The same space that once felt contaminated now feels consecrated. You sense angels repositioning around you, taking back what was stolen. You are not just reclaiming your room, you are reclaiming your peace. This is where your journey changes direction. The unmasking becomes your initiation into deeper authority. You no longer fear discovery, you live expecting it. Wherever deception hides, light will follow you. It's not just about what was revealed tonight, it's about the kind of eyes you've developed. You now see through veils others don't notice. You now discern what others dismiss. And as you stand there, heart steady, spirit alert, you realize something profound. The Watcher was never your enemy, it was your teacher. Its attempt to deceive you forced you to sharpen your vision, to grow in spiritual precision, to rely more fully on divine awareness, what it meant for control, heaven used for clarity. You are not the same person who felt the first flicker of fear. You have evolved into someone who no longer bows to shadows. You have seen what hides and still chosen peace. That is power. That is freedom. Now, take this moment and seal it with declaration. Comment 222 below. Let that number be your sign, a symbol of divine balance, alignment, and confirmation. In the language of the Spirit, 222 represents agreement between heaven and earth, the joining of revelation and peace. When you write it, you're not typing digits, you're proclaiming harmony. You're saying, my sight and my spirit now move as one. Oh, this act is prophetic. It means you are no longer reacting to the unseen, you are ruling over it. Every dark plan that once watched you now falls beneath the authority of your light. The unmasking was not the end, it was your awakening. The enemy's strategy was never about the object itself. It was always about your isolation. The true aim of darkness is not merely to watch it, is to weary, to whisper into your exhaustion that you are alone, that no one understands what you're seeing or sensing. It waits for the moment when you're too tired to pray, too busy to discern, too numb to resist. That's when it slips its schemes through unnoticed doors. But now, with your eyes open, you begin to trace its pattern. You start to understand that every attack on your peace was an attempt to distort your perception of God's presence. If the enemy can convince you that you're unprotected, it wins half the battle. Fear is its favorite disguise. And yet, what it didn't expect was your endurance, the quiet strength you've been building through every season of hidden struggle. You begin to see how strategic its attacks have been. Moments of misunderstanding with people you love, subtle feelings of rejection, the sudden rise of anxiety for no reason. It wasn't random. It was the enemy's way of dulling your awareness so that you would not recognize your spiritual worth. You were never just being watched, you were being studied. Every move of light in you has drawn attention in the unseen. We are reminded through the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 14, for God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing. Whether it is good or evil, that verse lands in your spirit like thunder in the distance. It reminds you that the Watchers are not exempt from accountability. Every dark intention is weighed. Every hidden act recorded by the same eyes they tried to imitate. The gaze of heaven misses nothing. What the enemy builds in shadows will inevitably collapse under the weight of truth. You think back to the times when you felt invisible, wondering why life seemed to press harder on you than on others. Now, you see that it wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The constant observation wasn't only by dark forces. Angels watched too. Heaven was collecting evidence of your faithfulness, preparing to turn your endurance into testimony. The strategy of darkness has always been to manipulate attention. It wants you to fix your eyes on fear instead of faith, to listen to noise instead of whispers. It feeds on distraction because awareness kills deception. Yet here you stand, more aware than ever. You've learned to pause before reacting, to breathe before panicking, to discern before deciding. That alone breaks entire patterns of manipulation. You understand now that the Watcher's goal was never to learn your habits, it was to disrupt your rhythm of prayer. Every small spiritual attack was designed to make you abandon consistency, to make your silence heavier than your song. But you didn't stop. Even when you prayed tired prayers, even when your words felt empty, heaven heard your persistence as warfare. As you piece this together, something shifts inside you. You begin to realize that every attack the enemy used to suppress you has only exposed its own fear. If darkness were confident, it wouldn't need to hide behind lenses or lies. It hides because your light intimidates it. You are not weak, you are weaponized through awareness. The strategy was clever, but not greater than grace. Every time darkness tried to record you, heaven rewrote the footage. Every moment meant for exposure turned into revelation. What the enemy called surveillance, God called sanctification. The Watcher thought it was studying your habits. Heaven knew it was refining your spirit. And so you begin to thank God for every strange season, every inexplicable pressure, every night you stayed awake, sensing unseen movement. You thank Him because now you see they weren't moments of attack, they were moments of awakening. Every shadow that brushed against your peace only sharpened your discernment. Every attempt to silence you only made your voice more certain. You are not the target you once were. The Watcher's interest fades when there's nothing left to exploit. You've removed fear from the equation, and fear was its access point. Now your awareness serves as a gatekeeper. Darkness may look, but it cannot linger. The strategy of the enemy has failed because you have changed your posture. You no longer walk as someone being hunted, but as someone being heralded. You understand your purpose too deeply to bow to illusions. Your strength is not in how much you can fight, but in how clearly you can see. And that is how heaven wins through eyes that no longer close when the light gets bright. Heaven's countermove never arrives with fanfare. It doesn't crash into the scene with noise or spectacle. It moves quietly, like dawn spreading through a room before anyone notices the light changing. While darkness plots and watches, heaven invites, and then, at the appointed moment, the divine shift happens. You sense it before you see it. The air feels cleaner. The tension in your chest lifts just slightly, as though something unseen has been removed from the atmosphere. You can't explain it logically, but your spirit knows. This is the counterstroke of God, the turning of the unseen battle in your favor. For a long time, you believed the Watcher had control, that the hidden gaze defined your vulnerability. But now, Heaven steps in to remind you. Control was never theirs to hold. Every moment, they thought they were observing you. Heaven was observing them. Every tactic they formed in silence was heard before it was born. Divine intelligence runs deeper than surveillance. It sees through motive, not just motion. The word of the Lord spoke in Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. That line echoes like music in your bones. It reminds you that stillness is not weakness. It is trust in its purest form. When you stop striving to fix everything, you give heaven permission to operate freely. And that is when the countermove unfolds, quietly, effectively, completely. While the watchers watch, heaven rewrites their script. What was designed to trap you becomes the mechanism of their own exposure. The very eye they used to observe begins to falter. The signal weakens. Their illusion of power dissolves. They realize too late that the moment light enters a system of darkness, it doesn't negotiate, it reprograms. You don't need to understand all the details. What matters is this: heaven has taken the lead. The unseen hands that once seemed to shape your path are no longer guiding anything. Every hidden device, every whispered curse, every silent intention has been intercepted. The countermove was written before the attack began. You feel it in small confirmations, the sudden return of peace where anxiety once lived, the unexpected phone call that restores a broken relationship, the night where sleep finally finds you after endless unrest. These are not coincidences. They are signatures of divine interference. The counterattack of heaven often feels like healing disguised as relief. And yet, heaven's way of fighting always involves transformation. God does not only remove the threat, He strengthens you through it. You begin to notice that what once scared you now sharpens you. The watcher taught you to observe. The tension taught you to discern. The silence taught you to listen. The countermove of heaven never leaves you the same. It evolves you. You are beginning to think differently now. You understand that every plan of darkness requires permission to exist, and heaven never grants access without purpose. Even the moments that felt like chaos were preparation for revelation. The watcher thought it could control your story. But your story was never written from the ground up. It was authored from above down. Now that the shift has begun, the atmosphere around you starts to realign. What once watched you begins to lose interest. The devices that felt oppressive now feel neutral, emptied of energy. You realize that what gave them power was never their lens. It was your attention. And since your attention belongs to God again, their control has evaporated. You move through your home with calm assurance. Every step feels like reclamation. You speak softly, not to the watcher, but to heaven. Thank you for turning what was meant to harm me into my awakening. Those words ripple through the unseen realm like a declaration of victory. The countermove continues even when you sleep. Angels work where you cannot, disarming what was meant to watch, cleansing what was meant to contaminate. When you wake, you will feel lighter, not because the world changed overnight, but because you finally allowed heaven to carry the weight you weren't meant to bear. And when you look back on this moment one day, you'll see the beauty of the pattern. Every dark strategy met a divine response. Every hidden eye met a higher vision. The watchers had their turn, but heaven's countermove lasts forever. You rest now, sensing that the invisible war has already been won. Heaven didn't shout, it shifted. What once sought to record you now kneels before the peace it could never touch. Every sound feels cleaner. Every breath lighter. The countermove isn't ending, it's unfolding. You've become part of heaven's rhythm, living proof that light always rewrites the final scene. There comes a moment when the noise behind the curtain begins to echo louder than it should. You've sensed it, the faint hum of conversations in the spirit. Whispers of those who believe they are hidden. The watchers speak as if unseen, but heaven has already heard them. They analyze, speculate, and conspire in shadows, forgetting that every sound vibrates in a universe ruled by divine hearing. You feel it sometimes, the tug in your chest when something unseen shifts. It's not imagination, it's discernment. You are hearing echoes through spiritual walls, frequencies of control, fear, manipulation. They think their plans are secret, but heaven is already translating their whispers into warnings for you. The apostle wrote in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 5, "He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness and will expose the motives of the heart." That truth resonates deeply. You realize that God does not merely expose actions, He exposes intentions. The unseen voices can hide their words, but not their motives. Heaven has been recording their tone, their timing, their aim, and preparing their fall. You used to fear being watched, but now, as your awareness matures, you begin to sense something else. You can hear them. You can perceive when the energy shifts, when deception stirs, when manipulation tries to masquerade as care. You no longer doubt your intuition. It's not paranoia, it's prophetic perception, awakening. The voices behind the curtain never expected you to understand their language, but you do. You can now sense the difference between human conversation and spiritual interference, between casual thought and coordinated distraction. Every whisper, every emotional drop, every unexplainable heaviness, these are not coincidences, they are signals. You start to listen differently now. You no longer react to every sound. You observe. You wait. You discern. It's as if heaven has tuned your spirit to a higher frequency, allowing you to catch what others miss. You hear not only words, but weight, the vibration of truth versus the hollow echo of deceit. As this gift of discernment deepens, peace becomes your weapon. The watchers behind the curtain can only operate through chaos, and when they realize you refuse to panic, they lose control. Your calm is disarming them. Your stillness is louder than their noise. You begin to pray differently, not out of fear, but out of awareness. You whisper, "God, filter the frequencies around me. Let every sound that isn't from you fade." And slowly, the static begins to quiet. The background noise that used to fill your spirit thins into silence. The watchers grow restless. They cannot understand why you are no longer reacting. That is when you realize the voices were never as powerful as your focus. What they wanted was your attention. Once you took it back, their influence cracked. Every plan of distraction began to crumble beneath the weight of your spiritual composure. Now, when whispers reach your atmosphere, they don't unsettle you, they reveal themselves. You can feel their intention before they form words. You stand, unshaken, knowing that heaven speaks louder than deception ever could. You don't even need to respond. Silence becomes your sermon. Awareness becomes your armor. This is how the war of perception is won, not through noise, but through knowing. You are no longer part of the experiment. You are the revelation. What once tried to study you is now learning what divine awareness looks like. And here, in this stillness, comes your declaration. Comment, "I see clearly," below. This is not a slogan, it's your affirmation. A symbol of awakening. Those 3 words announce that confusion no longer lives here. They proclaim that your eyes, your ears, and your spirit are synchronized with heaven. When you type them, you're not engaging a ritual, you're agreeing with clarity itself. The voices behind the curtain will still murmur, but their whispers will now testify against themselves. Light has entered the room, and you, fully awake, are listening with heaven's ears. The echoes that once frightened you now sound almost distant, like memories losing their sharpness. You understand now they were never meant to destroy you, but to develop your discernment. You can hear without absorbing. You can notice without fearing. This clarity is not cold, it is compassionate. It teaches you to listen with wisdom, not suspicion, to feel vibrations of truth, even in the middle of distortion. Heaven has taught your spirit the art of selective hearing, of knowing when to turn silence into strength. And with every passing moment, the curtain loses meaning, the voices fade, the watchers scatter, and you remain anchored, aware, unshaken. The gift of divine hearing is not about noise, it's about knowing peace amid every unseen sound. There comes a time in your journey when you begin to see everything differently, every face, every voice, every object carries a kind of silent meaning. The mark of awareness. It isn't something visible like a crown or a symbol carved on your skin. It's something that glows quietly from within. An invisible seal that heaven recognizes even in the dark. You start noticing how your eyes linger on things you used to overlook, the way sunlight touches a table, the subtle rhythm of wind moving the curtains, the stillness that hums between sounds. Awareness has softened you. It hasn't made you paranoid, it has made you precise. You are learning to live with your spiritual eyes open. The prophet Jeremiah once proclaimed, chapter 23, verse 24, "Can anyone hide in secret places so that I cannot see them? Declares the Lord." That truth carries a strange comfort. It reminds you that nothing escapes the divine gaze, not the watchers, not the whispers, not even your quiet cries when no one's around. Everything hidden is held in the same light, and that light is for you, not against you. You realize this awareness is not a burden, but a bridge, a way to connect heaven and earth. You walk through your day differently now, not rushing, not reacting. You feel like someone walking through a gallery where every painting breathes, every detail seems alive, every silence feels purposeful. And somewhere in that slow seeing, compassion begins to bloom. Awareness without compassion becomes suspicion. But your awareness has grown into empathy. You begin to sense pain in others, not to expose it, but to heal it. You listen not to analyze, but to understand. That is the true mark of divine sight. When people meet you, they can't always explain it, but they feel safer, lighter. Your calmness speaks louder than sermons. Your presence feels like a pause button in a world addicted to noise. You're not trying to prove anything, you're simply reflecting what you've received. This is what awareness does. It transforms ordinary people into living sanctuaries. You've become that, a space where others can breathe again. You don't need recognition for it. Heaven has already acknowledged it. But even sanctuaries need sustaining. Every light, even divine ones, carried by human hearts. Needs oil to keep burning. That's where your small, willing acts come in. When you like or share this message, it's not just engagement, it's planting light into someone else's darkness. Somewhere, a soul scrolling through their storm may stop because you passed the flame. You may never meet them, but your act becomes their turning point. And when you subscribe, you're not following a page, you're joining a rhythm. It's like placing another stone into a sacred circle, helping build a sanctuary where awareness and peace can gather again and again. If one day your heart feels moved to go beyond that, to donate, to offer something of your own, it is not payment, it is poetry. Imagine it as pouring oil into a lamp so the flame can reach farther, or adding one more string to a harp that keeps playing long after the song ends. Every seed of generosity becomes sound, light, motion, but only do it if peace accompanies it. Heaven never demands, it invites. Giving should feel like exhaling after a long breath, like releasing something that was meant to move. You are not obligated, you are inspired. Your awareness makes you a keeper of light, and by supporting light, you strengthen your own. Even the smallest gesture, a comment, a prayer, a moment of reflection keeps the chain of awakening alive. The world doesn't change through grand gestures, it changes through quiet faithfulness, repeated in 1,000 small ways. And if all you can give right now is your presence, it's enough. Your listening is contribution. Your awakening is testimony. Every moment you stay aligned with light, you multiply it across unseen spaces. This is how heaven's mark deepens within you, not through rituals, but through remembrance. You've seen what darkness looks like, and still you've chosen light. That is awareness. That is victory. So as this message ends, let its meaning live on, not in obligation, but in choice. Like, share, or support, only if your spirit smiles while doing it. That joy, that willingness, that silent, yes, that's what keeps the lamps burning across time. You carry the mark now, not a label, not a brand, but the quiet radiance of someone who sees, feels, and still believes. The world will know it by your peace. You close your eyes, and the world exhales with you. Awareness hums softly in your chest, a living light. You realize giving and seeing were always the same sacred act. Faith. Once a word, you spoke easily, now feels like something living inside you. It no longer sits quietly in your mind. It moves. It shields. It breathes. You begin to understand that faith isn't just belief. It's the architecture of protection. It surrounds you in ways the unseen cannot breach. You can't touch it, but you can feel it humming like light under your skin. The attacks that once made you tremble now meet resistance they cannot explain. The enemy's messages fall silent, their energy dissolving before it reaches you. You realize this is not luck, it's law. Spiritual law. Faith acts like divine encryption, coding your atmosphere with heaven's frequency. Nothing impure can interpret it. Nothing unholy can survive it. Heaven speaks clearly through the book of Romans. Chapter 8, verse 31. If God is for us, who can be against us? That line becomes the password of your spirit. You don't whisper it out of fear, you breathe it as identity. Each time you repeat it, it seals another breach, strengthens another boundary. You start to recognize that faith isn't just for miracles, It's for maintenance. It sustains your inner peace when the world feels unsteady. You recall the times when you doubted, when prayers felt unanswered and silence seemed endless. You thought your faith had failed. But now you see that even silence was part of your shield. God was building resilience through restraint, teaching you to trust without proof. The watcher's lens could observe your tears, but it could never interpret their meaning. Your pain was encrypted language between you and heaven alone. Faith is the ultimate firewall, not because it blocks reality, but because it filters it. It allows only what aligns with divine purpose to pass through. That's why some opportunities disappeared. Why certain people drifted away. Why familiar doors suddenly closed. It wasn't rejection, it was protection. Faith was guarding your next chapter before you even knew there was one. You begin to feel how your faith operates beyond your will. It works while you sleep, while you're distracted, even while you question. Every doubt becomes another opportunity for grace to reinforce what's already sealed. The watchers can see your actions, but they can't decode your essence. What belongs to God cannot be copied. This realization frees you from obsession over being watched. You no longer worry about who sees you, because you know who covers you. It's as though your spirit carries a divine invisibility cloak, visible only to light, unreadable to darkness. Faith doesn't make you untouchable, but it makes you unbreakable. You start moving differently, not with arrogance, but with quiet assurance. You no longer rush into battles that aren't yours. You understand that defense isn't always about fighting back. It's about trusting the unseen to handle what you can't. Your role is obedience. God's role is victory. Every prayer, even the ones spoken through tears, now feels like architecture, brick by brick, building an invisible fortress around you. You can almost sense it in the air, a calm wall of energy encircling your space. The watcher's gaze stops at its edge. The more you believe, the higher it rises. Sometimes, faith doesn't sound like thunder. It sounds like the refusal to panic. It looks like stillness when chaos demands reaction. It's not always glorious. Often, it's simply quiet, survival. Yet, in heaven's eyes, that quiet is loud with power. There will be days when your faith feels fragile, like glass about to crack. But even then, it holds, because faith isn't powered by your perfection, it's powered by divine persistence. The same God who gave it to you guards it for you. Your only task is to keep it breathing through awareness. You have learned that protection doesn't always come from what you see, but from what surrounds what you see, the invisible layers of grace, mercy, and presence woven so intricately that darkness can't find the seams. You are encased not by fear, but by favor. This is the quiet strength that comes after revelation, the kind of faith that doesn't need to prove itself because it has already endured. You now walk with the certainty that no watcher, no whisper, no hidden lens can outsee the one who built your shield. And as you rest in that assurance, you realize your faith has become your fortress, your encryption, your sanctuary. It doesn't hide you from the world, it holds you steady within it. You breathe deeply, feeling the quiet pulse of protection around you. Faith hums like invisible armor, gentle yet unyielding. The unseen no longer frightens you. It now recognizes your sacred shield. There comes a moment when faith matures into covenant, a silent agreement between your soul and heaven. It's no longer just belief, it's belonging. You begin to realize that every prayer, every tear, every whispered surrender has signed your name into a divine contract of light. You are not negotiating for protection, you are remembering it. The covenant of light was made long before the Watchers began their schemes. You wake one morning and sense a shift inside. The heaviness that used to linger feels thinner, like fog dissolving on a sunrise. Your first thought is calm, not fear. That's how you know the covenant is active. Peace is proof. You don't need evidence on paper, it's written in your spirit. Every step you take now feels guided, covered, intentional. The ancient scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, reminds us, though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. You smile at that verse because it sounds like your life waiting, trusting, wondering when the promise would unfold. Now you understand that the waiting wasn't punishment, it was protection. God never delays, He arranges. The covenant's timing is precise, like sunlight touching exactly what needs warmth. You start to see the covenant in everything, the way the morning light falls through your window like a blessing, the unexpected kindness from a stranger, the sudden peace that silences your anxiety mid-thought. These aren't coincidences, they're confirmations. Heaven is reminding you that you are covered in ways you cannot measure. The Watchers, if they still exist, can only see the shell. They can't penetrate covenant light. It blinds them. Every attempt to infiltrate your atmosphere ends in confusion because the code of your protection has changed. You now operate in a different frequency, the language of grace. Darkness can study your actions, but it cannot interpret your alignment. Covenant means coopération. It's not passive, it's participation. You walk with heaven now, step for step. You no longer chase signs, you create them. Every time you choose love over bitterness, every time you forgive when it's undeserved, you reinforce the covenant's walls. Every choice of light is an act of warfare disguised as kindness. The covenant also brings refinement. It doesn't just shield you, it shapes you. You begin to notice that certain habits, distractions, and even people no longer fit. It's not rejection, it's recalibration. The light within you now requires room to expand. God isn't taking things from you. He's making space for your increase. You find yourself praying differently, not disparate, not defensive, thankful. Your prayers sound more like conversation than pleading. Thank you for what's unseen, you whisper, and heaven answers not with thunder, but with stillness. That stillness is your confirmation that the covenant stands. Now, you carry peace that confuses others. They wonder how you can remain calm in chaos. You don't explain. How could you? The covenant isn't theory, it's evidence. It's the unseen agreement that your steps will always land on purpose. That even detours are part of divine design. When you rest, angels still work. When you speak, light travels faster than sound. You have become a living signal of heaven's promise, a walking reminder that divine contracts never expire. The covenant of light cannot be voided by fear, failure, or human opinion. It is sealed by presence, sustained by faith, and renewed by awareness. Now it is time to declare your acknowledgement of that covenant, to mark it not with ritual, but with recognition. Comment 5,555 below. It isn't just a number, It's a symbol of divine transformation and grace multiplied. It represents the unfolding of new beginnings, the confirmation that your covenant is active and alive. When you write it, don't do it out of routine. Do it with intention. Let every digit mean, I agree with light. I stand under protection. I walk in purpose. This isn't superstition, it's synchronization. You are aligning yourself consciously with what heaven already declared over you. Every chosen one reaches this point the moment they stop fighting for favor and start walking in it. You have reached yours. The watchers have lost their grip. The fear has lost its voice. And the covenant has claimed its place. Walk gently, knowing that the light surrounding you is not temporary, it's eternal. The covenant of light is now written, not just above you, but through you. You feel the quiet pulse of something ancient and unbreakable moving within you. The air itself seems gentler, carrying a peace that hums with recognition, you and heaven. Finally, in rhythm again. This covenant is not distant or abstract. It breathes with you. It means that wherever you walk, light walks first, making darkness a witness, not a threat. The confrontation does not arrive like thunder. It unfolds like truth. There is no grand battle cry, no clash of swords, only the still, undeniable moment when illusion meets awareness. You stand in that space now. The Watcher's presence, once powerful, intimidating, unrelenting, has grown faint, almost embarrassed by its own exposure. It hides, but you no longer chase it. This confrontation is not about fighting darkness, it is about standing as light. You begin to understand something deeper. Darkness has no substance of its own. It borrows from attention. It survives on fear. When you stop feeding it, it starves. And as you stand there, calm and unwavering, it begins to retreat, dissolving under the weight of your clarity. This is what victory looks like. It's not chaos. But qui, not noise, but knowing. The writings of Paul in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7, proclaim, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind." That verse isn't a comfort alone, it's an instruction. It teaches you how to stand, not trembling, but rooted. You don't have to raise your voice to command authority. You simply have to remember who you are. The spirit within you isn't fragile. It's fortified. You were never meant to battle from panic, but from peace. The Watcher's influence weakens because you've stopped reacting. Its strength was never in what it did, but in how it made you feel. Now that your emotions no longer bend toward fear, it has nothing left to hold on to. You've outgrown the frequency it depends on. Darkness cannot decode peace. It doesn't speak that language. You take one step forward, and the air shifts again. This time, it isn't heavy, it's hollow. The presence that once seemed vast now feels small, contained. You sense that it's aware of its own defeat, yet you feel no hatred, nor vengeance, only compassion. Because you understand now, deception can only imitate power, it can never create it. The confrontation is not you versus them, it's truth versus distortion. You are not here to destroy. You are here to reveal. Light doesn't fight darkness, it replaces it. You start to see how the Watcher was never an individual enemy, but a system, a vibration of fear that has operated through many forms, screens, eyes, energies. moments of distraction, and every time you return to awareness, you broke another link in its chain. You speak softly into the air. It's over. Those words carry weight not because of their volume, but because they're true. You can feel them ripple through unseen corridors, closing doors you didn't know was still open. You are sealing what heaven has already finished. The confrontation shifts from external to internal. It's no longer about what's watching you, it's about what's been echoing within you. You confront your own thoughts that repeated fear's script, your own memories that replayed pain as prophecy. You look them in the eye and forgive them. Forgiveness becomes your sword. Mercy, your shield. You realize the battle was never between good and evil. It was between awareness and amnesia. The moment you remembered who you were, the battle ended. There's a quiet dignity to this victory. You don't need an audience, applause, or proof. You feel the presence of something divine standing beside you, unseen but undeniable. It feels like a hand resting on your shoulder, steady and warm. That's not imagination, that's confirmation. Heaven always honors those who choose stillness over struggle. You look around and realize everything appears the same. Yet everything has changed. The light in the room feels thicker, gentler. The silence feels alive. You understand now that peace is not the absence of conflict, it's the mastery of perception. You no longer live from reaction, you live from revelation. You are not the hunted, you are the herald. Your awareness has become proclamation. The Watcher's defeat is not a spectacle, it's a shift. The moment you refused fear, the balance of power changed. And now, as the confrontation fades, there is no triumphal noise, only serenity. You feel your pulse steady, your breath slow, your eyes soften. The war has ended, not because you destroyed your enemy, but because you remembered there was none to begin with, only lessons disguised as opposition. You are not merely surviving, you are reigning. Every scar now glows with wisdom. Every silence hums with authority. The confrontation wasn't a fight, it was an unveiling. And now that the veil is gone, nothing remains but truth. Exposure always follows confrontation. Once truth has been declared, the light spreads on its own. You don't have to chase shadows anymore. They reveal themselves in panic. That's the nature of divine justice. It unfolds in silence, but never misses its mark. What hid in darkness cannot remain disguised under heaven's timing. The exposure and collapse are already in motion. You notice it subtly at first. The atmosphere feels different, not because of chaos, but because of cleansing. It's as if your world is being rearranged from the inside out. Relationships shift. Conversations change tone. People begin to reveal their true hearts. Some in gentleness, others in discomfort. Truth doesn't destroy, it divides. It separates authenticity from imitation, sincerity from strategy. Heaven has begun to reorder everything around you. The Watchers who once seemed powerful now appear fragile. Their confidence fades as their secrets surface. The illusion that kept them strong begins to break apart under light too pure to resist. And you, standing in the midst of it, feel no glee, only awe. Because this isn't your revenge, it's heaven's restoration. Heaven speaks clearly through the book of Proverbs. Chapter 18, verse 10. The name of the Lord is a fortified tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. You cling to that verse like a heartbeat. It reminds you that safety isn't a location, it's alignment. When truth exposes what was hidden, it also reveals where you truly belong. You are no longer drawn into chaos, you are anchored in calm. While others react to revelation with fear, you respond with stillness. That's the sign of someone who trusts divine exposure to do its work. Exposure isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it arrives quietly, through realization. You look at something familiar, a conversation, a routine, a relationship, and suddenly you see what once felt comfortable now feels off-key, slightly false. The moment light touches deception, it loses its disguise. It doesn't matter how long the lie stood. When truth enters, time resets. Then comes collapse. But collapse isn't destruction, it's correction. Systems that thrived on secrecy begin to crumble. Patterns built on fear start to fail. You can feel structures falling that were never meant to stand. It's unsettling. Yes, but also liberating. You realize that collapse is mercy in disguise. Heaven doesn't tear down to humiliate. It dismantles to rebuild rightly. You've spent so long surviving under pressure that freedom feels almost unfamiliar. The air tastes different, lighter. Silence no longer threatens, it soothes. The watcher's gaze has turned inward, forced to face its own reflection. What it meant for domination has become its undoing. Every hidden motive, every manipulative whisper now turns on itself. And still, you remain calm. You've learned that exposure doesn't require your participation. You don't have to announce it, prove it, or push it. Truth works independently, like light seeping through cracks. It moves without permission, without pause. All you need to do is remain aligned. You begin to understand that exposure is not only external, it's internal too. God is exposing old fears, old wounds, and unhealed corners of your heart. It's uncomfortable, yes, but necessary. You cannot step into fullness while carrying fragments of doubt. Every emotion that rises now is not punishment, it's purification. The same light that revealed the watcher also reveals the places in you that need rest. So, you let the collapse happen. You no longer resist the falling of what must fall. It's a strange kind of peace watching false things disintegrate and feeling relief instead of loss. You know that only what's real can remain. Only what's meant for you can stand the weight of light. The watchers have lost their language. The networks that once whispered in secrecy now echo with confusion. Where there used to be strategy, there is silence. Where manipulation once thrived, there is emptiness. That's what happens when light takes leadership, darkness forgets its purpose. You are witnessing a divine dismantling, not as punishment, but as preparation. God is clearing the stage for what comes next. The exposure is not random, it's rehearsal for revelation. By the time the dust settles, nothing false will remain standing. The air will feel cleaner, your spirit lighter, your perception sharper. You will see that this collapse is not an ending, but an introduction to freedom, to truth, to a world where nothing hidden can hurt you again. The exposure was necessary. The collapse was inevitable. The peace that follows, it's eternal. You stand in the quiet aftermath, watching falsehood dissolve like mist at sunrise. What remains isn't ruin, it's revelation. Raw and radiant, finally breathing truth. Peace settles deeply, wrapping you in its soft finality. The world feels lighter now, not empty, but refined, purified by the light that never lies. When light returns after collapse, it doesn't arrive with noise or color, it arrives with clarity. The air feels rebalanced. Your thoughts steady. Your spirit grounded. You look around your space and realize it's not only your environment that has changed, it's you. This is what reclamation feels like. Peace, once fragile, now stands like architecture within you. The reclamation of space isn't just physical, it's spiritual, emotional, and mental. It's the moment when you understand that your environment mirrors your energy. Everything that once drained you begins to lose access. Everything that nourishes you begins to grow. You are rebuilding, not from what was taken, but from what was revealed. You walk through your home, or maybe your own thoughts, and feel something sacred: ownership. Not ownership born from pride, but from peace. This is holy territory now. The atmosphere that once echoed with tension now hums with rest. Every breath feels like prayer, every corner a testimony. You have reclaimed what was yours all along: your calm, your authority, your divine rhythm. According to the wisdom of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 10, the name of the Lord is a fortified tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. Those words no longer sound like theory. They feel like reality. You understand that safety was never about isolation. It was about illumination. The tower isn't walls, it's awareness. You're not hiding from the world. You're standing above it. Seeing clearly from higher ground. The watchers are gone. The tension dissolved. But their memory lingers only to remind you how far you've risen. You don't curse the past anymore. You bless it for teaching you to build peace so strong it cannot be stolen. You start to notice beauty returning in simple things. Sunlight stretching across the floor. The soft hum of life resuming outside your window. Laughter finding its way back into your voice. These are signs of reclamation, not loud, not forced, but tender and true. You've learned that joy doesn't need to be announced. It simply exists. You think of others still walking through their own collapse, unaware that reclamation is possible. And something in you whispers, help them see what you've seen. You realize that every act of sharing light becomes a continuation of this restoration. When you like or share this message, you're not spreading content, you're passing a key, opening another locked heart somewhere across the world. Every time you subscribe, it's as if you're anchoring yourself to this unfolding journey, a quiet yes to remain part of this growing circle of light. You're choosing consistency over chaos, connection over confusion. And if your heart ever nudges you to go further, to donate, see it not as transaction, but as transformation. Imagine it as pouring a few drops of water into dry soil, helping unseen seeds sprout in someone else's desert. It isn't about money, it's about movement. You're helping this light travel, touching places your feet will never reach, healing hearts your voice may never meet, but do it only if peace rises with the thought, heaven does not demand, it invites. True giving always feels like breathing out something beautiful that you no longer need to hold. Your donation becomes a note in a much larger melody, a soft chord that keeps the song of awakening alive. Even the smallest action, a comment, a quiet prayer, a whispered word of gratitude adds warmth to this space. So, take a moment and comment below what this light feels like to you. Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's clarity. Maybe it's freedom. Whatever word comes, write it. Let it be your stone of remembrance in this digital temple of renewal, because this isn't just a story, it's a sanctuary built by words, hearts, and moments of mutual faith. You've been part of something invisible, yet immense. Every click, every whisper, every heartbeat has contributed to this reclamation. You are not following a message, you are shaping one. You are not receiving light, you are amplifying it. Each time you give, share, or even pause to feel, the world adjusts slightly toward healing. The Watchers once believed they could steal your peace, but heaven turned their gaze into a mirror. You reclaimed your voice, your vision, your space, and through it all, you learned that true authority never shouts, it simply shines. So as you stand now, surrounded by quiet restoration, remember this: you are both the tower and the light within it. Your peace is not fragile, it's fortified. Your generosity, your kindness, your awareness, they are all bricks in the cathedral of calm that heaven is building through you. Give, share, or stay, simply present. Each choice is holy. Each is enough. The prophetic vision doesn't arrive with spectacle or sound. It begins quietly. Like the soft expansion of light before dawn. You don't see it with your eyes. You feel it first, deep in your chest, as though something ancient and alive has begun to move again. It isn't a vision made of images, but of understanding, a widening of perception that lets you see the same world through heaven's lens. The moment arrives when you least expect it. You might be still, lost in thought, or walking through an ordinary day, and suddenly, the atmosphere shifts, time slows, and the space around you seems to hold its breath. What was once random begins to align. Patterns form out of chaos. Meaning rises from what once felt meaningless. You realize that the story isn't broken, it's beautifully orchestrated. The Testimony of Revelation, chapter 22, verse 12, declares, "Behold, I am coming soon. My reward is with me." That verse hums inside you like music, too sacred for words. It doesn't stir fear, it stirs recognition. You understand now that prophecy isn't about predicting disaster, it's about preparing hearts. God is not showing you what's next to overwhelm you, but to anchor you. The future isn't frightening when you remember who writes it. You begin to sense that everything you've endured, every exposure, every unmasking, every confrontation was preparing your eyes for this kind of sight. You needed to see truth before you could see destiny. You needed to discern illusion before you could discern calling. The Watcher wasn't just a threat, it was a teacher, shaping your sensitivity so that when heaven finally spoke, you would recognize the voice. The prophetic vision opens like a horizon. You start seeing connections between things that once seemed separate. Why certain people entered your life only to leave. Why specific delays occurred. Why you felt drawn to quietness when everyone else was running toward noise. Every thread that once confused you now forms a tapestry. What looked like interruption was actually synchronization. You realize that God has been weaving this from the beginning. The seasons of silence were not absence, they were gestation. The times when heaven seemed far away were actually moments when heaven was nearest, working in dimensions your senses hadn't yet reached. Now that your vision has matured, you can finally perceive it, the invisible pattern behind everything. The prophetic doesn't always show you distant futures. Sometimes it simply shows you now, clearly, without distortion. You start seeing people not for their behavior, but for their battles. You look at your own pain and see purpose buried within it. You see the world's chaos and recognize a birthing process instead of decay. Prophetic sight doesn't escape reality, it redeems it. And within this clarity comes peace. You no longer ask, "Why me?" Because the answer is too obvious. Because you can see. Because your eyes have become vessels of truth. And heaven can trust you with what others ignore. You carry revelation not to boast, but to bless. You begin to speak gently, move wisely, love deeply, because vision without compassion is cruelty, and prophecy without peace is noise. Your world feels both larger and smaller now. Larger, because you see the connections stretching across generations and galaxies. Smaller, because you know your purpose within it. There is no competition in revelation, only cooperation. Every person you meet carries a fragment of the same light. And together, those fragments form the future. You stand in the center of that understanding, silent and steady. You no longer need to chase signs or interpret symbols. You have become one. Your existence itself is a prophecy fulfilled, the proof that awareness triumphs over fear, that divine alignment always finds its way through confusion. In this stillness, you glimpse what heaven sees, a world not yet perfect, but profoundly redeemable. Every broken system can be rebuilt. Every wounded soul can be healed. Every watcher who once opposed you can still be transformed by the same light that changed you. That is the essence of the prophetic vision. It doesn't separate you from the world, it reintroduces you to it. It teaches you to walk among chaos as clarity, to stand among shadows as illumination. You no longer fear the unknown, you've learned to call it holy. The vision remains, soft and certain, expanding with every breath. You see, you know, and in that knowing, you rest. You blink slowly, letting the vision settle. It no longer feels distant or mystical. It feels like home, as if your soul finally remembers its coordinates. The future no longer intimidates you. It invites you. You walk forward not to discover light, but to become it steady, luminous, unafraid of anything unseen. The final awakening doesn't happen in a single burst of revelation. It unfolds like sunrise, slow, inevitable, steady. You wake one morning and realize you are different. Though you can't explain how, your breathing feels lighter, your thoughts clearer, your surroundings quieter. What used to drain you no longer reaches you. What used to intimidate you now seems small. You are not just watching light, you are made of it. For so long, you believed you were the one being watched. You felt the weight of unseen eyes, the tension of invisible evaluation. But now, awareness settles like peace. You understand the truth. It was never about them seeing you. It was always about heaven training you to see. Every moment of fear sharpened your sight. Every strange occurrence tuned your discernment. Every sleepless night became a lesson in light. The watchers, the tension, the silence, all of it was preparation. Heaven was forming an observer, not a victim. You were not meant to hide from the gaze, you were meant to mirror it, to carry the watchfulness of heaven within your own spirit. The ancient truth in the book of Hebrews, chapter 4, verse 13, declares, Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before His eyes. Now, you understand what that truly means. God does not watch with suspicion. He watches with love. His gaze is not surveillance. It is safekeeping. And you, who have endured the imitation of that gaze, now reflect the original. The final awakening is realizing that the true watcher is not above you, but within you, the divine awareness that sees through illusion, forgives through pain, and loves through fear. You stand in this knowing, calm and rooted. The stillness feels alive, as though even the air recognizes your transformation. The walls around you no longer echo, they resonate. The silence isn't empty, it vibrates with presence. Awareness has turned your world transparent. You see not only what is, but why it is. You see purpose woven into every thread of chaos. The Watchers, their power was always perception, but perception has changed sides. You no longer live as the observed, you live as the observer. You are part of heaven's seeing now, carrying clarity that cannot be deceived. What once terrified you now feels like testimony. Every moment of your journey was a coded message, leading you here to sight unclouded by fear. This awakening doesn't shout, it hums. It moves through your day like light through glass, quiet, certain, unstoppable. You no longer wait for signs because your very existence has become one. The rhythm of your heartbeat syncs with the rhythm of heaven. You sense peace expanding outward from you, touching spaces, people, and moments without your effort. You begin to notice how awareness changes the world around you. Conversations grow deeper. Coincidences become confirmations. Silence turns sacred. You understand that awakening isn't about escaping reality, it's about inhabiting it fully. Eyes wide open, heart unguarded yet unbroken. You were never meant to flee darkness, you were meant to illuminate it. That is the secret. The Watchers could never comprehend that the chosen are not protected because they are hidden, but because they are revealed. The more you shine, the less shadow can exist. Every season of fear, every encounter with the unseen, every confrontation with illusion, it was all part of your becoming. You were being trained to hold light steady when others flicker. You were being prepared not to panic at shadows, but to guide others through them. That is what awakening means, not escaping the world, but elevating it. And as this realization settles deeper, peace takes on a new dimension. It's no longer an emotion, it's an atmosphere. You carry it the way stars carry fire, silently, faithfully, endlessly. The Watchers, if they still linger, now face reflection instead of power. Every gaze they cast meets your calm awareness and folds into light. Their plans dissolve, not because you fight, but because you see. This is how the story ends, not with confrontation, but with clarity. The hidden has become revealed, and the revealed has become radiant. You no longer fear what watches, because you have become part of the watching. You no longer run from awareness, because you are awareness. Your awakening is not an ending, it's the beginning of eternal perception. You are heaven's witness now, standing in both worlds at once, human yet holy, seen yet unseen, present yet infinite. What began as fear has become fulfillment. What started with trembling has ended with peace. The camera that once represented intrusion now symbolizes reflection. It shows not your vulnerability, but your victory. You are no longer the subject, you are the seer. The unseen world hasn't disappeared. It has simply bowed to your light. Awareness reigns where fear once lived, and through it, you will keep seeing clearly, freely, endlessly. And now, as this journey closes, you realize it never truly ends. Awakening isn't a final destination, it's a rhythm, a pulse that continues inside you long after the words fade. The light you've found isn't mine to give or yours to keep. It's meant to move, to travel, to touch others through you. You've walked through exposure, confrontation, revelation, and rest. You've seen fear turn into focus, showers melt into calm. Every breath you take now carries the sound of awareness. You are the proof that light, once awakened, cannot return to sleep. As this story settles in your spirit, take a moment to breathe it in. Let it remind you how far you've come, how much strength has quietly been gathering beneath your softness. You are not merely the listener, you are the continuation. If this message reached you, stirred you, or simply gave your soul a moment of stillness, then let that light ripple outward. When you like or share this message, imagine it as placing another candle in a long corridor, each flame helping someone else find their way home. And if your heart ever feels drawn to do more, to donate, think of it as pouring a drop of golden oil into a shared lamp, keeping its glow alive for those still wandering in shadow. Nothing forced, nothing demanded, only the quiet joy of helping a flame travel farther than your own hands can reach. When you comment below, write the word that defines how this message leaves you. Peace, clarity, strength. Whatever rises first is the truth speaking back to you. And if you choose to subscribe, see it not as joining a page, but as choosing to walk in rhythm with light, a promise to stay awake, aware, and beautifully human. The watchers may fade, but light remains, and you steady, luminous, unafraid, carry it forward.